the Live to 110 podcast. I'm your host, Wendy Myers, and I'm here with my co-host, Kate Behan of fitness-broad.com. I love that name. Today, Kate and I are interviewing Luke Pryor, a fellow nutritional balancing practitioner, about how this program can heal your thyroid and get you off medication for good, your thyroid medication. Most are told by their doctor that they have to be on thyroid medication for life, and this could not be further from the truth. While modern medicine is great, it's not a healing modality, so you have to remember that. So doctors don't think in terms of healing the thyroid, just in giving medication to replace hormones and relieving symptoms, but even this does not work for many people. Luke is going to tell you how you can heal your thyroid and be the problem lack of hormone production, autoimmune thyroid issues, or any other issue related to thyroid dysfunction. So Kate, why don't you do our little disclaimer?
Sure. Please keep in mind that this program is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease or health condition and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. The Live to 110 podcast is solely informational in nature. Please consult your healthcare practitioner before engaging in any treatment we suggest on the show. Wendy, what's going on with your weight loss guide?
Well, it's finally done. It is up on the website. Finally, I cannot believe it. It has been months coming. I wrote a little ebook called the Live to 110 by Weighing Less e-guide. So if you go to my site, live110.com, it's available to download for free. So just sign up for it on the homepage. You'll see the big welcome graphic that you just plug in your email. And you know, the guide is basically, it's a 33-page basic weight loss guide filled with all kinds of tips from the latest research about diet, exercise, conquering your cravings, and how to reduce stress. And it's going to get you started on your path to lose weight. And if basically I try to communicate the message that if diet and exercise are not enough, then you may need to get my next book that I'm writing right now. It's called When Diet and Exercise Are Not Enough, a step-by-step plan to eliminating your roadblocks to weight loss. And that will be available hopefully in spring 2014. It's kind of coming along really slow, but I'm trying to kick up the pace a little bit. But yeah, Kate, so I took your SoulCycle class a couple days ago. And
Yay, finally.
I know, I've been promising, forever. And really my hesitation was because, I have a back problem. I go to a physical therapist and once a week, sometimes twice, and I have been for 3.5 years. So I just had some back problems. I injured my back after I started working out again, after I recovered from my C-section, after giving birth. And I just was frankly afraid that I was not going to be able to walk the next day. Because even when I go for a walk, my back is killing me. And just for like a wimpy little walk. But the cycling, I loved it. My back was totally supported. So yeah. It didn't bother my back. I was good. Humpty Dumpty, did not fall apart.
Oh my God, amazing. I know that's the thing. I think a lot of people are nervous to try it because they think, I need to get in shape first before and that's like not how it works. You just come and, you go at your own pace. You sit you can sit in the back and sit when it's, too much or, slow down if you have to, whatever. I'm always you don't have to do everything I'm doing. I don't expect somebody their first, second, third time to do what I'm doing. I teach a pretty challenging class, so.
Yeah, it was great. I like also that in the SoulCycle, I've never taken another spin class, but I loved it that it was, your upper body workouts. You have these little 1-pound weights you're doing, and you do stomach stuff, and it's a whole workout.
1s or 2s or 3s or 5-pound weights.
Oh, okay, so you can choose.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I had the 1-pounders. I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah. And my butt is still sore. It's a couple days later, but I like that. I like being sore because I feel like I did something. But I thought I wasn't going to be able to walk, but I can still walk. I'm amazing. Oh my God. I'm so happy.
I just stood up before because Wendy and I were talking before, and I've been sitting for an hour, and then I stood up and my legs were dying. I taught 2 spin classes yesterday and 4 Pilates classes. So
what? Wow.
Ouch. My legs are
They're like lead.
They're tired.
Oh no, your poor perfect thighs. They're exhausted. But you know, one thing I liked about the SoulCycle class, at first I didn't like it that the lights were really low, because it's almost kind of like you're in this dark cave cycling away. But then I got all excited when the lights were turned on, like, you know, and then that's, you know, when you turn them on, you wanted us to cycle really fast. Like there was an uptick in the music and you're like, go for it, people, go for it. And so it was really stimulating, and it made me like push those pedals to the metal.
Yeah, it's fun.
Is that the goal for when you guys turn the lights on? You get people
I mean, not everybody does it. Some people like kind of don't really do much with the lights. Sometimes people do a lot with the lights. So it's kind of like everyone's different.
Okay. I liked how you're used to it. It worked for me.
Good.
And I liked that the music was blaring and you chose really good music, and, you know, there also isn't a clock in the studio, which I guess for me is a good thing because I'm a clock watcher, and I'm like, okay, I've got 30 minutes left. Okay, I've got 25 minutes left. I've got 20 minutes left. So I'm just kind of negatively psyching myself out. But since there wasn't a clock, I had to resort to, calculating the average length of a song and counting how many songs had been played and figuring out how much torture I had left coming to me.
Oh my God. Hilarious.
I don't know why my mind, needs to do these things, And I'm happy my vajayjay wasn't sore.
Yay!
I couldn't believe it. She survived.
Did you use the gel seat, or were you just on the regular seat?
I was wondering that. When I was sitting down, it was really hard, and my little sits bones were kind of aching a little bit. But she survived unscathed, so I'm assuming it was a gel seat.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I was really happy about that. So I'm coming back.
Good. Are you going to come on Thursday?
I have to look at my schedule. I think I am. I am going to come on Thursday.
11:30?
Yes, I'm going to be there.
Then we can grab food?
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally do that.
Then we can do girl talk.
Yeah, but my question is, how many classes a day do I need to do before I have your body? Because that's really my goal. You're
insane.
I just need to know how many classes do I got to do.
Well...
But I'm going to go twice a week. I do strength training. I do Pilates and gyro 3 times a week. Gyrotonics. It's kind of like a different form of Pilates, but it's a different machine. It's not Pilates. It's just a different, contraption. It's a crazy contraption. And so I do that 3 times a week, and then I'm going to do the SoulCycle twice a week and see if it can kick off some weight loss.
Yeah, girl.
Well, let's get on with the show. This is a really important show because I hear all kinds of shows on the thyroid talking about how you need to take natural hormones instead of synthetic ones, or that you need to add T3, one of the thyroid hormones for some people. Like they're talking about some revolutionary thyroid cure. I mean, that's great, but it's not enough. It's a step up from synthetic Synthroid, which is what most people are prescribed. But why isn't anyone talking about healing the thyroid? Because it can be done. Many people like myself are producing plenty of hormones. I don't need hormone replacement. I don't have autoimmune thyroid disease called Hashimoto's. Yet my thyroid function is low, and I have hypothyroid symptoms, namely resistant weight loss and easy weight gain. And doctors can do nothing for me. People like me, they just send home and say, hey, good luck, fatty. And your thyroid tests are normal. Just eat less and exercise more. Yeah, thanks, doc. I already know that. So don't take being sent home and told that you're fine. If you feel something is not right in your body, it's not right. If you used to, eat the way you're eating today and you'd lose weight, you'd be an Olympic athlete if you worked out how you're working out 5 days a week, you have a thyroid issue. So I don't care what tests say, because you don't have to suffer anymore. Luke is going to fill us in on the blanks on what is really causing thyroid problems and how to truly heal your thyroid. So, hi, Luke. How are you?
Doing good. How are you, Wendy?
I'm fantastic. It's very nice to have a fellow nutritional balancing practitioner on the show.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and I actually met you on Facebook on a nutritional balancing group that we both belong to, or everyone exchanges ideas and talks about nutritional balancing. So I'm really, really glad that I met you because you are particularly knowledgeable about the thyroid. So why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and why you decided to become a nutritional balancing practitioner?
Okay, well, I'm 23 years old, and I live in a small town called Grass Valley in Northern California. And I was studying, actually, kinesiology because I wanted to be a fitness instructor. I was really into fitness. It started when I was working at a gym, and I thought that's how you got people healthy was, you tell them how to lift weights and, run on treadmills and all these different things. And so that's what I want to learn how to do. So that's what I was going to school for. And basically, I just exhausted my body working out all the time. I was doing kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. I was lifting weights, doing strenuous, like powerlifting 4 times a week. And I just got exhausted. And, one of the problems in our society today is that, people are lied to. They think that to get healthy, you can eat whatever you want, you don't have to sleep enough and do all these things. But if you go burn all the calories that you consumed on a treadmill, that you're going to, have the energy you need, you're going to be able to rebuild your body. But it's simply not true. I had to discover it the hard way. I just burnt my body out, being narcissistic, and I was just continuously breaking it down, but not rebuilding it,
Yeah. It's a very common scenario. A lot of women also do chronic cardio and they're working out 5 days a week, and people don't realize they get burnt out. And these professional athletes, they get burnt out. They get adrenal fatigue.
Yeah. It's extremely common, especially in adults. When you look at the hair tests, all these people are going to the gym and doing strenuous exercise, and you look at the hair tests, and like 85% of the people are in some stage of adrenal burnout. It's crazy.
Yeah, and just for you listeners who aren't aware of this, a nutritional balancing program is based upon a hair mineral analysis. So it tells you kind of your stage of stress, your thyroid function, adrenal function, and mineral toxicity or heavy metal toxicity in your mineral level. Is just FYI, in case you didn't know that. So,
yeah.
So what?
So my health fell apart.
Yeah.
And then I developed brain fog. I had really bad sensitivity to cold. I was cold all the time. I had no energy to work. And then how I discovered nutritional balancing actually was I started using just a traditional sauna at the gym that I worked at. And I noticed that when I was done with the sauna, it was the best I'd feel all day. My brain fog symptoms would disappear for a while. It just made me feel like the best I would feel all day. It was after I used the sauna. So I began researching, sauna use and different types of sauna, and then I just happened to come across Dr. Wilson's his article on the near-infrared sauna.
That's how I found him too.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. What is this? I never, nutritional balancing, and after about 5 minutes of reading it, I was just like blown away by the amount of information that he provides to people and the depth, he wasn't like, because I was doing a lot of research, and on health, and like I'd already begun to I was already avoiding gluten and not eating dairy. Well, I was eating only raw dairy, and I was eating already really good and all these things, but I was just blown away by the precision and the depth of what he was talking about. The knowledge base is incredible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and his website is drlwilson.com for you listeners that are interested in researching this nutritional balancing a little bit further.
Yeah, I can't recommend to all you out there his website enough. He has about 900 articles on there, about any health condition you can imagine, and all the, other things. And he's truly a wonderful man.
Well, so let's talk about the thyroid. What is the thyroid, and what role does it play in the body?
Well, the thyroid is a small gland that sits near the Adam's apple, and it is responsible for energy production in the body. So Dr. Eck, who was the founder of nutritional balancing, liked to say that the adrenals are kind of like the fuel supply of the body, right? So you can think of a car, and the adrenals kind of supply the gasoline, and they mix the gasoline with the air, in the right amounts to get the right fuel mixture. And then the thyroid hormones are kind of like the spark plugs. So the thyroid hormones have to be able to enter the cells and ignite the fuel that the adrenals are providing. So it's part of the energy mechanisms of the body. There's two main energy mechanisms, and those are the adrenals and the thyroid. and these work in tandem together to provide the energy for your metabolism. So thyroid is actually one of the ways we determine the oxidation rate, which is basically the state of the metabolism of the body. It's basically the difference between the adrenal sufficiency and the thyroid sufficiency. So the main thing for the thyroid is producing thyroid hormones, which are for energy production. And that's why you get all those symptoms, low energy, can't lose weight, sensitivity to cold, all these different things is because, you just have low energy, basically is what it is.
Yeah. And so exactly what symptoms would one be experiencing if they're hypothyroid or having reduced thyroid function?
Sensitivity to cold is a common one. Just low energy in general, having to sleep all the time. Like you said, hair falling out is common. All these different things. A lot of it is kind of like, adrenals, having an adrenal fatigue. Because they kind of go hand in hand. Like, one doesn't really burn out with the other burning out, Like, for example, you're never going to really have, low thyroid without being in some stage of adrenal fatigue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've heard that they work in concert. And if the adrenals get fatigued, then the thyroid has to take over its job, and then it goes kaput at some point.
Yeah, exactly. When the adrenals burn out, the body will naturally boost thyroid output, to kind of make up for it, like a secondary engine. You know what I mean? Yeah. So those are most of the symptoms. Just low energy is the main one. They can be numerous things. Brain fog can be due to it because you have low energy. And, energy is kind of the common denominator, because even if you have, like, candida or anything and you can't get rid of it, because all these things just means the body doesn't have enough energy to get rid of these things, Your body needs energy to get rid of candida and to digest food. So even, like, poor digestion can be a symptom of low thyroid, or even being depressed, because people are depressed because they don't have any energy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've heard high cholesterol can be a symptom, too, because the thyroid regulates cholesterol.
Oh, yeah. Cholesterol... high cholesterol, people don't realize, is just a symptom of stress to the body. Now, it doesn't have to be, emotional stress. It can be physical stress, too.
Yeah. Or dietary stress.
Yeah, definitely. All these different stresses to the body. That's why it's always best to take a systems approach.
Yeah, I agree. Because that's one problem. When you go to your physician, they say, oh, you have a thyroid problem. Let's give you thyroid hormones. But it's a systemic problem. And
it's the same thing as if you had, bad pain and they told you to take a bunch of Vicodin.
Yeah. And that's what I love about nutritional balancing is it addresses the causes of what's actually causing the hypothyroidism, or even Hashimoto's, autoimmune, Graves, any health, like thyroid condition, is going to improve on a nutritional balancing program.
Oh, yes, certainly. You can heal Hashimoto's pretty quickly. I had a client who has Hashimoto's, and we've been able to reduce her Synthroid use significantly already. It's amazing how fast Hashimoto's will heal. Hashimoto's, you want to talk about Hashimoto's for a second?
Yeah, why not?
Hashimoto's is usually an infection of the thyroid, is what it actually is. So technically it's an autoimmune disorder. So it's where the body, as in most autoimmune conditions, autoimmune just means the immune system is being activated, so the body attacks itself, right? So in the thyroid, there will be an infection in the thyroid, and then the body will attack the thyroid gland to try to get rid of the infection.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, but the body doesn't usually have enough energy to get rid of the infection, so it's just basically attacking the thyroid, and then the thyroid can't produce, enough hormones.
Yeah, I remember talking to my old nutritional balancing practitioner, that one that I initially worked with, and she said that even long-standing Hashimoto's can be healed very relatively quickly in a few months.
Yeah, it's really quickly. It's quicker than other thyroid things, just because it's infection based. You know what I mean? You can get rid of the infection pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And one of her problems was she competitively swam from like age 5 through college.
She swam?
Yeah, she swam in chlorinated pools.
Yeah.
So one thing that people don't realize is all the iodine antagonists. Her body absorbed all the chlorine, and then it would compete with iodine for absorption.
Yeah, I know. People that's one thing I was really surprised about was when I found out I found nutritional balancing and realized my thyroid wasn't working properly. I was blown away that chlorine, fluoride, and bromine that's found in breads, like a dough softener, is antagonist. It competes with iodine for thyroid function. Like so, if you have too much of these halogens like fluoride and chlorine and bromine, then the iodine can't get in your thyroid to make your thyroid hormones.
Yeah, nutritionally wise, that's actually the biggest problem. The biggest problem isn't actually iodine deficiency. Most people actually get enough iodine. They put it in table salt, and most people actually get enough iodine. The biggest problem is actually the other halogens, the iodine antagonists. So there's chlorine in tap water. People swim in chlorinated pools. They give people fluoride tablets. There's fluoride in the water along with the chlorine. There's fluoride in toothpaste. All these different things. They put bromine in. They use it in the baking process when they bake like mass-produced breads and pastries and all these things. They actually use bromine in it. They used to use iodine, but for some idiotic reason, the government outlawed it and made them use bromine. So now they use, a toxin.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also every time you take a shower, you're showering yourself in chlorine and fluoride, and it soaks through your skin.
Yeah. Well, if you take a short shower, it's not too much of a problem.
Okay.
Baths are a bigger problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really because of these exposures to halogens so frequently that it's one of the reasons it's causing the obesity epidemic. It's absolutely contributing because we have 1 in 5 people are on thyroid medication. So it's not surprising given the fact that we fluoridate our water and it's full of chlorine. I mean, ideally, it's nice to kill germs, but it has its consequences using the chlorine.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and there's better ways to clean the water, definitely. They're starting to use more ozone and stuff now, thankfully.
Yeah, no, so that's what I like about nutritional balancing is that we have to take kelp. So it's like we have to increase our iodine consumption to factor in all these halogens that we're exposed to every day.
Yeah, and the iodine antagonist is one of the the major things that doctors don't tell you about. Most of them are simply not aware of it. And it's the single biggest thing in our experience. You have to remove those. And you have to replace it with iodine. You have to get rid of them in the body.
Yeah.
And the body has mechanisms to do that. The overall goal is to raise the vitality of the body. Your body has mechanisms, to get rid of mercury and copper and all these different things. So same with the, chlorine and all these things. The body has mechanisms to get rid of it. You just have to give it the energy to get rid of these things on its own.
Yeah, so that's one cause of hypothyroidism. What are some of the other causes that, cause the thyroid to begin having problems?
Stress. You'll notice that thyroid issues are much more common in women in our society. You don't find near as many women with thyroid issues for whatever reason. And, in my experience, it's just the women, their bodies just aren't able to handle the stress as well of modern life, They just push themselves so hard. I know so many young women, I have young female friends, and they go to school. So they're going to school full-time, and they work full-time on top of it. And on top of that, they don't sleep enough, and they have terrible diets. I know one girl, her lunch will be like a packet of Gushers. Yeah. And then she's working, and then she's just working all the time. And then when she's not working, she's in school, and she won't sleep for like 2 days straight.
Wow. Yeah, it's really common. We have this go, fast-paced society in the U.S., and it's, it has its consequences.
Yeah, so all the stress, it just eventually, it wears out the thyroid, just the same thing with the adrenals. It's eventually, just pushing yourself will eventually lead to breakdown of the energy mechanisms of the body, And stress takes many forms, It could be emotional stress, if you're not happy in a relationship or something like that. It can be, physical stress, like I said, working too hard, not enough sleep. And it can also be a dietary stress, When you're drinking soda, that's stress to your body, That's a poison to your body that your body has to activate its stress response to deal with it,
Yeah, the liver has to detox it.
So stress takes many forms. And so that's the biggest factor is just stress on the body.
Yeah, and I also love the fact that nutritional balancing addresses the excess estrogen. They call it estrogen dominance. That's something I never hear a physician speak about. And I think it's a huge problem and contributing factor to thyroid issues.
Yeah, you have to balance estrogen and testosterone and all those things. That's one good reason to avoid soy. Is soy will make the body produce excess estrogen.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons why we have everyone avoid soy. Is soy has something in it that it mimics estrogen. It's like compounds in soy that mimic estrogen.
Yeah.
A little bit of fermented soy once in a while isn't too bad. Like tempeh or something like that. But a lot of these like vegan types, they just consume so much soy.
Yeah, that used to be me. I think that's what that was the nail in the coffin for my thyroid. Was after I had a baby and I ate a vegan diet, veggie vegan for about 2 years, and I ate a lot of soy during that time.
Yeah. And you see all these people, they tell you how you shouldn't eat meat, and they eat all this soy, and they're lethargic, and they're, they have no muscle mass, especially the men. It's especially hard on men, because, men are more testosterone orientated. So soy is even worse for men,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it's a problem with women, too. Women no one should eat soy, period. But if you're going to have soy, have it fermented. That breaks down a lot of the toxic compounds, and only have it, maybe once in a while. It should not be anywhere close to a staple.
Now, what about gluten? Why is gluten a problem?
Well, we find that a lot of people do feel better when they eliminate gluten completely, at least for a while. But we find that the biggest problem is actually wheat. Like, I still eat gluten. I eat oatmeal, which has gluten in it, oats, barley, rye. I still eat those things. But we find that wheat is the biggest issue today. Although some people do feel better when they eliminate gluten completely, at least for a while. Because gluten is a hard protein that's hard to digest, So if your digestion is good, and especially as it improves on a program, most people can eat gluten, especially in small amounts, Like, I eat oatmeal every once in a while as a quick breakfast, and I don't have any problems with it.
Okay. Yeah, because I've also heard that as far as autoimmune thyroid, issues are concerned, that when we eat gluten, that the proteins in gluten look exactly like the proteins in the thyroid. So that if you have a gluten sensitivity, or a lot of people have an undiagnosed gluten sensitivity they're not aware of, that when we eat that, the body attacks it, but then it also attacks the thyroid because it looks similar to it.
Yeah. And usually the gluten sensitivity is really what they're saying is just that you have bad digestion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? That's the same thing with dairy. Like, a lot of people can't handle dairy, and a lot of times it's just like the gluten thing or any other food intolerance. Like, people even have intolerances to corn, and all these different things. And usually it's just, you have to treat the body as a system. It's just bad digestion. The body can, handle some gluten usually as the digestion improves. So gluten sensitivity is really just, in my opinion, it's just bad digestion.
Yeah, I know.
Except in the case of wheat. Wheat's not a good food for anyone to consume today. It's
very
inflammatory.
Yeah, I've heard that it has, the wheat that's grown in the U.S. has 2 to 3 times the gluten of, say, the wheat that you get in Europe. It's a completely different product.
Yeah. Nutritional balancing, we don't even recommend people eat, any whole grain wheat from anywhere. Even organic whole grain wheat.
Yeah,
it's just been so hybridized.
Yeah.
That not only does it have all the gluten like you were talking about, but it also has like a lot of glutamic acid in it, which is an inflammatory amino acid. And it really doesn't even resemble the wheat that we used to grow. Like, wheat was probably a good food to eat like 100 years ago. People used to live off wheat. It used to be a good food, but it's been so hybridized and modified, and they grow it on, depleted soils and mass amounts, and it's just not a good food.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Well, and another thing I really like about nutritional balancing, because I love it so much, is that a lot of physicians don't talk about toxicity of the thyroid. That one of the reasons it's not working so hot anymore, if you go to your doctor and you are diagnosed with hypothyroidism, is that, copper and mercury toxicity prevent your thyroid from functioning properly. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so in things like your adrenals and your thyroid and in many mechanisms in your body has all these enzyme binding sites, it's like the energy pathways of the body. And so, for example, in the thyroid needs specific nutrients to produce T4 and to convert T4 to T3, which those are, T4 is the thyroid hormone that the thyroid produces, and then it converts it to T3, which is the more active form, and that gets converted to cellular level. But the thyroid, it needs nutrients in the enzyme, and it needs certain minerals and enzyme binding sites to be able to complete this process. So, for example, selenium is absolutely required for this process. So if you're selenium deficient, you're not going to be able to produce adequate amounts of the hormones. Your body also needs, other things like manganese and vitamin C for this process. If your body doesn't get enough of the minerals that it needs in the enzyme binding sites, it will replace them with other things. So, if you're not getting enough selenium, it might, accumulate more mercury than it would otherwise, along with copper. And so copper and mercury will embed themselves in these sites. And then what happens is that, the body can't use the nutrients that it would normally because the copper and mercury are blocking the synthesis of the hormones. So part of the process is you have to get rid of the copper and mercury and replace them with the preferred minerals. You have to replace copper with more, other things like manganese and zinc and stuff. And you have to replace mercury,
Yeah, and according to I thought this was really surprising when I read it, but according to Dr. Wilson, one of the proponents of nutritional balancing, is that copper and mercury is pretty much ubiquitous in our society, that almost everyone is copper and mercury toxic.
Yes, everyone is pretty much just copper and mercury toxic. Pretty much all slow oxidizers are copper toxic, and they have biounavailable copper. Anyone with 4 lows has copper imbalance. Yeah, and mercury as well. You can't really avoid it in our society. You can make. I'm not saying people should make an effort. You should make an effort, and you can avoid most of it. But even people that don't eat high mercury foods still have a lot of mercury in their bodies. Some people get it from their mothers. They get it in utero. It's just in the air. If you live in the city, and there's smog everywhere, you're gonna get some mercury.
Yeah, it's from coal burning. So it's just
exactly.
It's in that you just breathe and you get mercury. I get it from sushi. I have a sushi addiction. So I go once, twice a month. I used to go twice a week. I'm naughty.
Yeah,
I always have mercury on my hair test.
Yeah, anyone that eats a significant amount of large fish, mercury is going to show up in their hair test at some point. You can guarantee it. I tell people should avoid tuna like the plague.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
The oceans aren't getting any cleaner. The problem, as you said, is the coal plants. They're not in America, likely, they're forced to put scrubbers on it, which get most of the mercury out. But in India and China, they don't have these regulations that we have. And all that smog goes up in the air, and then it precipitates down to the ocean, and then accumulates.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
So
it sucks that we suffer the consequences of their, lack of regulation there.
Yeah, exactly. And so we just recommend don't eat large fish. No tuna, no swordfish. Salmon might be okay once a month. The smaller, the better. A very good food that we recommend everyone eats sardines. And one reason why people can eat sardines is because they have a very short life compared to large fish, and they're much lower down the food chain. And, there's studies where they actually studied the mercury content of sardines compared to salmon. They actually found that sardines have 1/millionth as much mercury as salmon.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big, big problem. So, if you want, for your thyroid to function properly and not get mercury in your body, don't eat any large fish. The only fish I recommend people eat are sardines, anchovies, herring, fish like that. Maybe salmon once a month. Preferably don't even eat salmon.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate. There's nothing wrong with salmon inherently. There's nothing wrong with these foods. And obviously if you get salmon from Alaska, straight out of the stream, it's not going to be, it's not going to have near as much mercury as fish farmed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The
but
wild
even then,
salmon.
I'd be careful even then.
And so, another common cause of thyroid issues, and one that I suffer from, is stimulant abuse. That a lot of people are, addicted to coffee and sugar and diet pills and even starvation diets. Those can actually be really stimulating. How do those contribute to thyroid dysfunction?
Well, yeah, they're just further deranging the energy mechanisms. We live in a tired society. That's why Starbucks, is so popular. They have huge sections for all the caffeinated drinks, Monsters and Red Bulls and all these things. I don't even know so many people my age, they can't function. They can't go to work without, having a huge Monster energy drink. And, it's just a short-term answer. You're just stimulating the adrenals, you're stimulating the thyroid. And it's like, the analogy that Dr. Wilson likes to make, it's true, is like, it's just whipping a beat horse, Your body is tired, and you're just whipping it over and over again to try to get a response out of it. And you're just deranging it more and more. So the answer is always to replenish the body and let it rest, That's how you get real energy. And it's unfortunate, we live in a stimulated society, and everyone wants, short-term energy.
Yeah, and I think also when people have thyroid issues, and this is certainly true for me, is that they crave coffee and sugar and other stimulants. Even, alcohol can be a stimulant for some. And, I know even on this program, by healing myself, I really crave coffee and sugar to give me, a faux energy boost.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. Definitely. And it's hard for a lot of people to break themselves of it, I reckon, if you're going to use any stimulant, because in some instances, we're all human, and there might be an emergency, or you have to work late one night, and, sometimes we have to use, to get through our day, or for some reason you have to use a stimulant, And so I recommend, if you do have to use a stimulant, a cup of black coffee isn't too bad.
Okay.
Yeah. There is some toxicity from coffee, like there's a little bit of cadmium in it, we find. But we find that it isn't really too bad if you use, just a cup of coffee, and it's, preferably, obviously, you don't put any sugar in it.
Okay.
You can put cream in it, organic cream would be fine.
What about green tea?
Better.
Green tea okay?
What's that?
Is green tea okay?
Yeah, green tea's okay. I wouldn't use it as a crutch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, green tea, I believe, I'm not sure on this, I think it has even less caffeine than coffee, right?
Yeah, it does.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, about half.
Yeah, I would say green tea is okay, too. Because tea's not too strong, and it won't dehydrate you much.
Yeah. Well, let's get into some of the mechanisms behind, why exactly someone may be hypothyroid. Because for many, it's not as simple as the thyroid just stops producing hormones. And that's when you go to your doctor, that's the presumption. You have thyroid issues, here's some synthetic hormones. And it's not that easy. There's many mechanisms that can go wrong, which is why simply supplementing thyroid hormones doesn't work for many. So what are some of these mechanisms?
Well, like we talked about, nutrient deficiencies. People are full of the iodine antagonists that don't let you to absorb any of the iodine. People are iodine deficient. They don't consume enough iodine in the body. They're not getting enough nutrients. Your body needs selenium to produce thyroid hormones. It needs vitamin C. It needs manganese. It needs a lot of different things to produce the hormones in the first place. You have to let your body recover, stress, usually it's excessive stress, and to the body, eventually the thyroid just wears out. Infections, like Hashimoto's we were talking about, takes a role. There's an infection in the thyroid that's causing an autoimmune disorder, and until you get rid of the infection, the Hashimoto's won't go away. And a lot of people overuse, a lot of people abuse Synthroid and the synthetic thyroid hormones, because it's hard to gauge exactly how much you need. That's one thing people don't talk about. Like the doctor will be like, oh, well, are you still tired? Well, you should probably take more Synthroid, you know what I mean? And so a lot of people abuse it. And it's like, you were talking about stimulants. People actually use Synthroid as a stimulant.
Yeah, it is very stimulating. I took it for a little while before I found nutritional balancing, and they're very stimulating. And when you take too much, you get like anxiety, like you had too much coffee, and then it's hard to go to sleep that night. And,
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of people that use Synthroid are actually in fast oxidation, and there's no way their body would be in fast oxidation if it weren't for Synthroid.
yeah.
It's like a toxic form of, it's like an artificial. It's like if you're just constantly on a caffeine high, causing you to be in fast oxidation. It's like a constant whipping of the thyroid. It's pretty dangerous. And the doctors don't know exactly how much you need. They're just guessing.
Yeah.
People don't realize. The doctors just are asking, well, are you still tired? Well, let's up your dosage, And then a lot of people, just like any prescription, people abuse prescription pills like Vicodin and stuff, but people abuse Synthroid. The doctor can be telling them to take a certain amount, and then they'll just take more, It's like, well, I'm still tired. What the hell? I'll just, double my dosage.
Oh, yeah.
They don't realize the damage that they're doing to their thyroid. They don't realize the damage they're doing to their body.
Yeah, and then they never heal their thyroid. They're not addressing the causes, like the nutrient deficiencies. And there's a lot of people that Synthroid doesn't even work because, like me, my thyroid is producing the hormones that it needed. It just wasn't getting into the cells. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to get at is what are some of the issues that prevent the thyroid hormone from getting into the cells so that it can work and burn your calories?
Yeah. The cells have to be permeable. Like we were talking about nutrients. Not only do the cells need the nutrients to convert it to the more active form inside the cells, but the cell walls have to be permeable to the thyroid hormone. They have to be willing to accept it. So that's one thing that the hair test measures that, for instance, a blood test won't measure. So a lot of times people are tired, like you were talking about, and they go to the doctor and they get their thyroid tested. And a lot of times, even though they're tired, the thyroid levels will come back normal, and the doctors will be like, well, your thyroid hormones are normal, and they don't really know what's wrong. But what's happening on the cellular level is that the cells aren't able to receive the thyroid hormone, and the problem's at the cellular level. So it doesn't matter how much thyroid hormone your body's producing. If the cells can't receive it and the cells can't utilize it, it's not going to do you any good.
Yeah, isn't that caused by sodium potassium imbalance? That has to do with like the osmosis or permeability of your cell, or the ability of things to go in and out of your cells. It's called osmosis.
Yeah, that's one of it. And then also it's the calcium and potassium ratio, because calcium also affects cell permeability. So the tendency is the higher calcium is, the less permeable the cells are. So, for instance, you're familiar with like the calcium shell.
Yeah.
So, for the listeners that don't know, the calcium shell is just a really high calcium level on a hair test, and the higher the calcium, the less permeable the cells are to the hormones. So that's why Dr. Eck uses the calcium to potassium ratio, because potassium and calcium at the cellular level are what synthesizes the cells to the thyroid hormone. But yes, the sodium to potassium ratio also play a role. They both play a role.
And then another problem I had was estrogen dominance. Just you can get too much estrogen from like eating soy or using paraben and phthalate full hair products. You can get it from being too overweight because fat produces estrogen, and you can just get eating pesticides. Those are estrogenic. There's all kinds of substances that mimic estrogen, and if you have too much estrogen or xenoestrogens or substances that mimic estrogen, these bind to thyroid hormones and prevent them from getting into the cells. And plastics as well.
Yeah. And the problem is also the water supply. There's a lot of prescription pills and stuff in the water supply, and they have an estrogenic effect in the body, along with the plastics.
Is that one of the reasons that Nutritional Balancing recommends drinking spring water? To not use...
there's numerous reasons why we recommend drinking spring water. The only two types of water we recommend people drink are spring water and distilled water. But or the second best is actually carbon filtered tap water. But people can drink distilled water for a while if they're going through a detox reaction, because distilled water will actually help remove things from the body. But the problem is it removes other minerals as well. So if you use it for more than like a couple weeks or like a couple months, it'll start to deplete the body of all the minerals. But yeah, spring water's the best. You know, it's the cleanest. The brand I use is Crystal Geyser. That's probably my favorite brand. I recommend. I think you could like deliver it to your house and stuff too. But yeah, the benefits of spring water are multiple. Not only is it cleaner, people don't realize it actually is a source of minerals. You know, like using sea salt as a source of minerals. There's minerals in spring water. When it bubbles out of the earth and goes through the rocks and all the layers of sediment and all these things, not only is it getting cleaned, but also it's getting minerals added to it. You know, so a lot of people they don't drink the right type of water. You know, water should be a huge part of your diet. You know, because if you drink crap water, it's like eating crap food. You know, drinking most city water is like eating McDonald's all the time. It's no different. Your body needs clean water, just like it needs clean and good food.
Yeah, and it drives me nuts when I hear people talking about alkaline water, or, you know, talking about the benefits of alkaline water, because the basis of most alkaline water is reverse osmosis water, and then they add minerals to it, and it's, you know, reverse osmosis water is terrible for you. It doesn't hydrate you. It doesn't get into your cells. Which I found when I bought a reverse osmosis water filter. I thought I was doing, you know, myself a huge favor, but I would drink like 10 glasses a day and still be thirsty, and your body can't detox unless you drink the right kind of water.
Yeah, I've experienced the same thing, and a lot of people wonder, like, they need to, you know, learn the information. The information is hard to come by, you know. Most people don't know that reverse osmosis isn't good to drink. You know, and they wonder, again, like you were wondering, you know, why am I thirsty all the time and all these different things.
Yeah, it was driving me nuts.
Also, yeah, reverse osmosis is also very empty, like distilled water, so it'll leach out minerals as well, you know.
Well, let's talk a little bit about a nutritional balancing program. So we've been talking about how the program can address the underlying causes, and a hair mineral analysis will give us a different snapshot or a different angle of the thyroid functioning. You know, it does a different angle than your doctor's tests will do, which is another angle, a very, you know, insightful angle for many. What exactly is a nutritional balancing program for those the listeners that don't know about it?
A nutritional balancing program is a all-encompassing healing program where we use diet, we use nutritional supplements, we use lifestyle, getting enough rest, drinking the right type and the right amount of water, detoxification, and we use all these things. And how we gauge what diet you need and how we gauge what supplements you need is through something called hair mineral analysis. Now, hair mineral analysis lets us see the mineral levels of the body at the cellular level. So you can get this information from the skin. You know, people send in skin samples. You can use your nails, but we use the hair just simply because, you know, it's easy to cut. It grows pretty quickly, so you can get an accurate reading that's fairly recent. It's pain-free and all these things. So what it's really telling us is it's telling us the mineral count at the cellular level. So from that, we can see the oxidation rate, which is the state of the metabolism of the body. We can see the vitality of the body. We can see certain psychological things. So we can see how adequately you're digesting protein. We can see, like we were talking about, the cell permeability. We can see the effect of the adrenals and the thyroid at the cellular level. We can see how well functioning your adrenals are at what point. We can see heavy metal toxicities. We can see how well your body's eliminating the heavy metals. And so it really gives us a snapshot of the bodily system, you know, of the biochemistry of the body. And then from that test, we can see exactly what you need. You know, we can see how we need to restore your adrenals and your thyroid, if we need to raise your oxidation rate or lower your oxidation rate. You know, we can see, protein synthesis, if you need more protein in your diet. And we can also see tendencies for lots of things. Like you can see tendencies for blood sugar imbalances and diabetes. You can see tendencies for cancer, even depression and all these different things. It's really quite amazing what you can see from that properly interpreted hair test. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that you brought up cancer, because I think, anyone who is, has the potential to develop cancer, they have to have basically their minerals be flatlined. So by the time, if you don't have enough minerals in your body, you're
Yeah.
going to get really sick. You're going to have a depressed immune system, and that can lead to cancer. So for many people that have come into my practice, and I've had friends go to other nutritional balancing practitioners before I got certified, and some of them were flatlining. That all their minerals were really, really low. So it can predict whether or not you're going to get sick with diabetes or whatnot. It's going to manifest itself in some way, in some disease label at some point.
Yeah, it tells us tendencies. It can tell us how likely you are to have cancer somewhere in your body, or like how likely you are to develop it. It can tell us how likely you are to develop diabetes, or how your blood sugar imbalances probably are at that point. It tells us tendencies. And there's definitely certain patterns that are more more cancer oriented. Like 4 lows is a tendency for cancer, which is where all 4 of the macro minerals are low. That's one that can lead to cancer. Any poor eliminator patterns. So a poor eliminator pattern is where everyone has the heavy metals in their body today. So everyone has cadmium in their body, everyone has mercury in their body. We know it's there. But what happens is that if it's below a certain threshold, it means the body isn't being able to eliminate it properly. So what happens is the body doesn't have enough vitality to get rid of the heavy metals. So we know they're there, but the body can't eliminate them. So it's just building up in the body. That's a tendency for cancer. Any elevated cadmium, especially on the first hair test, elevated cadmium would be a tendency for cancer.
That's what was on my first hair test, was elevated cadmium.
Oh yeah, mine was 4 lows, elevated cadmium with an inverted NAK.
Oh no.
Yeah. So yeah, especially cadmium.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
What's that?
So I didn't mean to laugh at your bad first hair test.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, elevated cadmium, I would say, is the most heavy metal, probably is most correlated with cancer, is cadmium. But they all play a role. You can have cancer that's caused by excessive iron, or manganese, and all these different things. So yeah, the poor eliminator patterns, and also a really high calcium shell could be a tendency for cancer. In general, just like the more off balance the test is, the worse the test is, you're gonna have more of a tendency for things like cancer. Mm-hmm. Like a really low NAK. So the sodium to potassium ratio is how we determine, it's one of the vitality ratios, what we call it. So it's one of the ways we determine vitality of the body. And a really low ratio, like below 1, like 1 or below, is going to be a tendency for cancer, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does a nutritional balancing program help heal the thyroid? Exactly.
Well, first of all, you have to get more rest. So you have to rest more. That's the thing about nutritional balancing. It's very participatory. You have to rest more. You have to, replenish all the things that the body is missing. So we use kelp. That's one of the biggest things for the thyroid, is we use kelp, because kelp supplies iodine. It also supplies all the trace minerals your body needs. You can think of kelp of bodies. It's almost the body's multi-mineral supplement, especially just really dense supplement that we use that's full of minerals. So that supplies iodine and selenium. It supplies all the other trace minerals that people need. It actually helps remove some of the toxic metals as well. So kelp is hugely important in nutritional balancing for the thyroid. We also supplement extra selenium in the metabolic packs. So, for example, we were talking about people have hypothyroidism. So that would be slow oxidation. The slow oxidation is where there's insufficiency in the adrenals and the thyroid. So we're trying to, boost activity of the adrenals and the thyroid. We're trying to supplement them, and we're trying to, get them strong again. So one of the ways we do that is we raise the oxidation rate, and, there's selenium in that. So that's very important, along with the rest, drinking the right amount of water. We have to get rid of the antagonists. We have to remove them from the body. Like I said earlier, the body will do this on its own. The body has energy mechanisms to do this once you give it enough energy and the minerals it needs. But you can definitely speed up the process. We recommend a near-infrared sauna, which, will definitely speed up the removal of the iodine antagonists. I know many people that they use the near-infrared sauna, and they will smell chlorine, multiple times in the sauna. They'll just be sitting in the sauna, and they can just smell the chlorine coming out of their pores.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very common. So we want to speed up the process. We also use coffee enemas that speed up the process as well. Sometimes people can detox like 50 times faster when they use these methods as combined with it, So we always recommend, also, although they're not a completely necessary part of the program, we always recommend people do those because it'll definitely always speed up the detox process, which will help the thyroid and help remove those antagonists. So, yeah, it'll also help remove mercury. You can remove mercury through the skin. So the sauna helps with removing mercury and copper. You sweat out the copper. We also have to get the copper and zinc in balance. So we have to, get rid of excess biounavailable copper, and we have to replenish it with zinc. Because zinc and the copper balance are very important in the body. And if your body has excess copper, it usually means it's zinc deficient, and vice versa. Because the two kind of antagonize each other in the body. And so we have to get rid of the copper, replace it with zinc, and we also have to get the body bioavailable copper. Because a lot of the problems with people is they actually have biounavailable copper, where they're copper toxic, but they still don't have enough copper because they have the wrong forms of copper. Because minerals come in different forms. Like there's different forms of iron and manganese, like iron oxides, for example. These are different forms of the minerals that have different charges in the valence electrons, and your body will actually absorb these when it doesn't have enough of the kind that it prefers. So your body prefers, a certain type of copper, but you're not getting enough, so it'll continue to absorb the wrong type of copper. And you have to get those out, and replace them with the right kinds from foods. So the diet's huge. So, not only do we use kelp and, the metabolic packs and all these different things, but you have to be getting enough minerals from the diet. So we like people to eat tons of cooked vegetables because that's the best way to get minerals from your diet. We like about 70% cooked vegetables, preferably. We also like certain foods that are high in a bioavailable form of selenium, because we were talking about how selenium, besides iodine, selenium is the single most important mineral in your body for your thyroid. So it's important that not only we're supplying selenium, we're also getting enough of the diet. And selenium is one of those minerals that it has a certain bioavailable form that it's very better absorbed through food. That's one of the major reasons why we recommend blue corn and sardines so much. It's because those two foods have the specific type of selenium that the body can absorb easily. So we always recommend the developmental foods. Garlic always has quite a bit of selenium in it as well. Root vegetables have quite a bit of selenium. And like I said, blue corn and sardines. Any fish, so it's actually found mostly in the skin of fish. So that's why we like sardines, because it still has the skin in it. Selenium is what gives the shimmer to the scaled in fish, that are shimmery.
Yeah.
That's actually selenium.
I actually eat my sardines with blue corn chips.
Yeah, there you go.
I get double dose.
Yeah, that'll get you a lot of bioavailable selenium. So yeah, that's actually why we recommend those foods specifically, is mostly because of that selenium that you get from them. And so yeah, we got to replenish your selenium, which is, like I said, one of the most important ones with iodine. And then you got to drink, we recommend 3 quarts of spring water. You got to drink all that water to help flush the toxins out. That will help. And like I said, one of the most important things is rest. You got to rest. You got to let your body recuperate. And it's hard. It's hard for a lot of people. It's hard when you're raising kids and you got to work full time and you're always busy. It's hard to get enough rest. That's one of the biggest issues for a lot of people.
Yeah, when I first started the Nutritional Balancing program, I read that they want you to sleep 9 to 10 hours a night. And I'm thinking, I'm going to sleep my life away. If I sleep 9 to 10 hours a night, I thought I was really doing great, sleeping 7 hours a night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when I started, I was in 4 lows, and I was sleeping 11, 12 hours a night oftentimes.
Wow, that's great. And I also found, before I started the program, I had a lot of trouble sleeping. I had for years woke up every night in the middle of the night and was up for an hour or two. And
Yeah.
once I started taking the calcium, and it's in the correct form, the minerals need to be in a chelated form, which a lot of people are taking the wrong forms of calcium. But once I started taking the calcium magnesium supplement, instantly I've been sleeping through the night ever since.
Oh yeah, people are amazed. People that are having trouble sleeping. That's just my friends. I have friends and family members that aren't really interested in going on a full program, and they're having trouble sleeping. And I'll just tell them to take zinc, chelated zinc, and a chelated CalMag before bed, and they're amazed by how well they sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, it relaxes you so much. It's amazing because there's been times, I'll take 2 or 3 of the calcium sometimes if I'm really stressed one day, and you just sleep like a baby.
Yeah. That's one thing people, they don't know. So a lot of people have trouble sleeping. They're like, how am I going to rest and support my thyroid when I can't sleep? Well, Nutritional Balancing, takes care of that. So we supply the CalMag, the calcium and magnesium that you need, and we supply the zinc, because most people can't sleep because they're low in the sedative minerals. Zinc and calcium and magnesium and all these different minerals that our bodies are so lacking in today actually help calm the nervous system. And then all of a sudden, your nervous system has, the zinc that it needs, and it has the calcium like you're talking about, and it's just like, oh, I can rest.
Yeah, I was amazed. I was so relieved because, I just got really, and I hear this from all my clients too, they just get so sick of not being able to sleep through the night, and they don't need sleeping pills. They just need calcium, magnesium.
Yeah, people that, like I said, I have people that aren't on a program, they're just my friends, and I tell them to take these things, and they're amazed. Like, they're on sleeping pills and stuff, and like they tell me I'm crazy. I'm like, just try it, all right? Before bed, just take 1 CalMag, take a zinc. I swear you'll sleep good. They're like, and yeah, they'll sleep like 12 hours, and they'll be like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly my experience.
Yeah, in my experience, they're more powerful than sleeping medication.
Yeah, they are, because they're the minerals. The calcium, magnesium was what your body uses to relax. They're the relaxing minerals, so that's what you need to relax.
Yeah. So nutritional balancing will help you relax too. If a lot of people are worried about not being able to sleep. Definitely will help. Helps almost automatically.
Well, Luke, I have one question that I like to ask all of my guests. What do you think is the most pressing health issue in the world today?
I would say prenatal care.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. The children are in bad shape today, and it's, you see some of these hair tests on children, and, it isn't, it's fairly common to see children in adrenal burnout at age 2. It's crazy.
Why is this happening? Why are the children in adrenal burnout?
It's mostly the mothers. Any nutrition deficiencies and toxicities pass right from the mother to the child. So if the mother is mercury toxic, the child will be born mercury toxic. If the mother doesn't have enough zinc, the child won't get enough zinc. Copper toxicity, all these things pass right to the child. And so it's very important that we get young women healthy. So if anyone's actually interested, I offer a 50% discount on either mothers that are pregnant or children under age 10.
Oh, that's nice of you. Yeah, it is really a big problem because I think it's one of the reasons why we have such a high rate of autism and learning disabilities, and so many children are born with on the autism spectrum disorder. Because like for my daughter, I was aluminum toxic, I found, and when I, at some point in my hair test, I had tons and tons of aluminum coming out. My daughter's aluminum toxic, lo and behold. I was zinc deficient, my daughter's zinc deficient, and that's why, as many of the listeners know, my daughter has mild autism and a speech delay, and it was caused by the combination of those two things, and I believe also, getting a couple of vaccines was the straw that broke the camel's back, injecting that toxicity into her body, mercury and whatnot. But, I agree with you that our children are in a lot of danger of future generations because our soils are so deficient in nutrients, and we're becoming more and more toxic from corporate dumping and manufacturing.
Yeah, that's the single most important and that's the single most powerful aspect of nutritional balancing, is we can make sure you have much healthier babies. Okay, so if there's any young women out there and they're going to get pregnant, or they are pregnant, or even if they're breastfeeding, and they want to have the best milk possible, contact a practitioner, because it's the best thing, it's the best head start you can do for a child. So that's the single most powerful aspect of nutritional balancing, is we can help the next generation, Because we were talking about, the autism and stuff, most of those kids have the poor eliminator patterns. They can't eliminate the heavy metals. That's four loads is common in children with autism as well. It's a bad situation. And so that's the most single powerful thing, the sooner we get to the mother. Because, we're just not taught that in our society. If a woman smokes cigarettes for 30 years, we teach her that you can smoke cigarettes for 30 years. But then if you quit right when you get pregnant, your child is going to be okay. That's just 100% not true.
Yeah.
All those things stay in the body and will be passed on to the child. This is true with anything. We put millions of young women on antidepressants. Doctors let young women go on antidepressants while they're pregnant, and they continue on it while they're breastfeeding. It's craziness,
Yeah, I actually.
So we have to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have a client that she started a nutritional balancing program, and then she became pregnant, and I'm so excited because her child has such a wonderful opportunity to benefit from all the minerals that she's taking. She obviously can't do the sauna while she's pregnant because it heats her body up too much, but I'm really excited for her that she'll have a much, much healthier pregnancy and healthier child as a result of being on the program.
Oh yeah, anytime I hear about a child, I get excited. Because the children that go on these programs, they leave the other children in the dust. People are amazed by the effect it has on ADD and all these different things, and autism. The sooner you can get to them, the better, because children heal a lot quicker. Children are naturally, healthier than adults. So if you get them to when you're young, if we can get to all the children, pregnant mothers, then we get them when they're young. They don't have to deal with the things that adults in today's world have to deal with.
Yeah, they don't have as much toxicity to detox. I know my daughter, I have her on the program, and
not just that. It's also brain development.
Yeah.
Most of the kids today all the kids today are zinc deficient, so their brains aren't developing to their full potential. They're not going to be athletic as they could be. And all the children that go on a program, they leave other children in the dust scholastically, in athletics and all these different things, because the kids today are all so deficient and toxic. They just leave these kids in the dust.
Yeah, I know. When I first started my daughter on the program about 4 months ago, and at that point she entered preschool, and she wasn't really talking a whole lot. She was taking, saying one words or maybe 2 word sentences. And 4 months later on the program, she was in a really good preschool as well, but she's talking in full sentences now. She's totally communicating. It's like night and day. And it was, of course, it's because of the program and the zinc she's getting because she was zinc deficient. So I'm just, all I can say is I'm thrilled.
Yeah. People that find the program for their young children they notice a difference, and they get so excited and they're so glad. Hopefully, eventually we can get if we could just get every woman in the world on one of these programs, the world would be a much, much better place.
Yeah, I agree. We have to have goals, lofty goals. So Can you, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit more about you and where they can find you?
They can visit my website at interbalance.net. So that's inter like internet, INTER, then balance.net. And then all my contact information is on there. People can email me. They can also call me and leave a message if I don't pick up. I do free 10-minute consultations. So anyone that wants to do a free consultation, we can talk for a while and just talk about your problems and what I can offer you and other things. I also have a YouTube channel. If I type in Nutritional Balancing on YouTube, I'm on the first page. I think you're on the first page too. There's not many of us doing YouTube videos.
No.
So yeah, Wendy has some YouTube videos too. Just type in Nutritional Balancing and you'll see my videos. Or you can type in Interbalance. or there's actually a link to my YouTube from my website. So people can check those things out. There's also a newsletter I have people can sign up for. And do yourself a favor. If it's not with me, at least with Wendy or someone else,
Yeah, and if you guys are looking for a practitioner, you can also go on drlwilson.com and find a list of practitioners. They're all over the world. Lots of practitioners out there.
Yeah, the work is spreading.
Yes, it is. The word is spreading. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Luke. I'm thrilled that you agreed to come on and help people to navigate the myths and issues surrounding the thyroid, because I'm so tired of hearing thyroid shows claiming to, talking about natural thyroid hormone and whatnot, because it pains me to see so many people taking thyroid hormones when their thyroids just continue to deteriorate, forcing them to take more and more medication. And, there is another way. So thank you for, taking the time to come on the show and shed some light on this issue.
Yeah, it was great talking to you. I hope all your listeners, got something out of it. And, we can heal their thyroids.
Yeah, and if any of you listeners want to try a nutritional balancing program, you can contact Luke Pryor at his website, interbalance.net, or me on live110.com. Either of us can put you on a nutritional balancing program and heal your thyroid once and for all and get it working again, how it's supposed to be working, like when you were young. And so just to be clear, a nutritional balancing program not only heals or targets the thyroid, but it heals your entire body and the thyroid in the process. So it can really be explained simply by giving your body exactly what it needs nutritionally, which is usually minerals, and detoxing the body so that the body itself can heal itself of most ailments. And if you listeners want to learn more about health, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter at I Will Live to 110. I am also on YouTube at Wendy Live to 110. Some jerk took Live to 110 on YouTube and is not using it, so I had to come up with a super boring, unimaginative Wendy Live to 110, which I can't change now, which is great. And I have lots of super boring, unprofessional videos on there, so go check those out. And I'm also on Instagram and Pinterest at Live to 110. Kate, what are your social media?
My Twitter is cbehan, my last name, and my Instagram is KateBee. Please go check out our websites. I can be found at fitness-broad.com and Wendy's at live210.com. If you like what you've heard on the show, please go to iTunes and give the Live to 110 podcast a nice review and rating. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.